Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm Dr. Pichardo-Johansson, physician, life coach, speaker, and #1 Amazon bestselling author. Or more simply, I'm an oncologist who became a cancer survivor and decided life is too short. Life is too short to be where you're not sure you want to be. I help physicians upgrade their mindset so they can reclaim power, freedom, and control of their lives. And today we're talking about what's the difference in mindset between a physician and a billionaire. And before we get started, I want to thank you for being here today. I know it's not easy to get time off as a physician to spend in things like this. And I know that because I have been there. I was a hematologist oncologist for 15 years. I know what it is to live exhausted, and I know about the never ending paperwork, and I know about that recurrent feeling of powerlessness, of feeling like a gear in a grinding machinery of the healthcare system. And yet, I'm here today to tell you that you are not powerless. And if there is only one thing that you learn today, if you fall asleep, if someone calls you and you have to leave, I want to make sure that I tell you first this incredibly important concept. So please pay attention. It's my favorite quote from Albert Einstein, and it is, are you ready? No problem was ever solved from the level of thinking that created it. No matter what problem or challenge you're facing in your life, in your personal lives, in your medical practice, if you're one of the people fighting to fix the healthcare, if you feel stuck, you have one job. Your #1 responsibility is to work on yourself, on your own mindset. Because when you elevate your level of thinking, you stand on a new vantage point from where you can see solutions that until now had been invisible to everybody else's eyes. That's what I mean with elevating your mindset. For the purposes of this talk, I'm defining mindset as that collection of mostly unconscious beliefs, thinking patterns, inner rules that become the map you use to interpret the world and dictate your automatic responses. Is my intention today to raise your awareness about a few very dangerous thinking patterns medical training and medical practice ingrained in us, to give you hope and hopefully evidence that there is plenty you can do to change that and improve your quality of life, and to motivate you to take the first steps. This talk is divided in 3 parts. First, I'll show you some of the research methods that back this presentation. I'll tell you the 3 most dangerous thinking patterns physicians face, and I will do those by contrasting them with the workings of a highly successful billionaire mind. And I'll leave you with 2 tools you can use right now to help upgrade your mindset. So the first question you probably have is, what is with this title? But this seems like a get-rich-quick scam or a bait and switch. And to explain to you why this title, I first have to show you a very scary picture. So please brace yourself. This may be a little terrifying and give you nightmares. Are you ready? Here I go. Ouch. Elon Musk, founder of Tesla, PayPal, SpaceX, you name it, third richest man in the world, and yet also a very controversial figure, hated and despised by many people. If you happen to be one of those people who hate him and despise him, and any other of the billionaires we'll be mentioning today, I want to invite you to pause your judgment and bring to this talk your researcher eyes. We're going to study people who have been very successful in business and money, therefore may have something to teach us. And we're going to try to decide what to take and what to leave from what we can learn from them. And if for any reason you still have a negative association with the word billionaire and you want to, feel free to scratch that word and find a different word that you feel more comfortable with to replace it, such as highly successful person. Whether that either of those words is a synonym with a happy person is a completely different talk. But rest assured that the ideas we're going to generate today will help you expand your range and your depth of experiences to help you in any goal, financial or not, and even in becoming a happier person. So, returning to the scary picture, why this lecture? In fact, one of the reasons why I chose this topic was that some time ago I ran into a YouTube video where they had weaved together pieces of interviews by Elon Musk as an inspirational, motivational speech. And after a few quite interesting and positive things, he said near the end something that made me smile. He said that the secret for his success was working like hell. And he said, and I quote, "Oh, I don't recommend it to anybody. It's so hard." But that sometimes you have to put 80-hour work weeks. Then he clarified 80 to 100-hour work weeks. And as a physician, of course, that made me laugh because an 80-hour work week is nothing for us. 80-hour week is the most recent attempt at some humane treatment for us physicians. In fact, the older generation doctors will tell you, "Oh, that's nothing. In my days, we used to work 350 hours a week," which means that back then days were 50-hour long, but that's another story. But that got me thinking. If it was true that plain hard work was the key to financial success, then we physicians should be billionaires, right? Nobody works harder than us. We are experts at self sacrifice and delayed gratification. And as much as we complain about it, we have a higher income than average. And yet, as more than one financial planner has pointed out to me, physicians seem to be lacking behind their financial goals compared to other people who make similar salaries. In fact, many doctors I work with are still struggling to pay their student loans. That got me thinking, and I created a hypothesis. Maybe the key to great financial success is not intelligence, is not hard work, and is not that much about disposable income, and it's about mindset. And I know what you're going to say, uh, evidence-based medicine. It was ingrained in our minds. Never believe something that you haven't proven by research. And yet, the most important things in life are not backed by double-blind, randomized clinical trials. Most of life is about guessing, trial and error. When I was an oncologist, I used to collect medical cartoons like this to make my patients laugh. I used to put them in the examination rooms. And my patients loved this one. The doctor is telling the patient, "Offhand, I'd say you're suffering from an arrow through your head. But just to play it safe, I'm ordering a bunch of tests." And the patients loved it and say, "Oh my God, that's exactly you guys. You guys are so obsessed with running tests and confirming data that you don't even see things that are obvious in front of your eyes." I invite you today not to be that guy. I invite you to suspend your disbelief and join me in the agreement that some things in life will never be proven, and yet they ring true at the visceral level. And they just make sense, and intuitively we know they sound true. Still, I do not intend to say that I made up all this. I have based these hypotheses and theories in summary of several books. These are just a sample of the multiple personal development books out there on mindset and money. I have studied highly successful billionaires, and on purpose, I did not limit myself to the top 10 richest people in the world, which by definition are outliers. I mixed them up with people, with billionaires with a much smaller net worth, but that had lives that appeared to be fun and that they seem to be enjoying life more than the average billionaire. I studied their biographies, listened to interviews, listened to motivational speeches by them, and then I compared that to my notes on the mindset of physicians, which I have been studying for now a decade. Long before I became a life coach, I founded a support group for female physicians in Brevard County, Florida, and I've been studying the mind of physicians ever since. All this together, if this wasn't enough, there's more. This photo is Dr. Barry Marshall, which when I was doing my thesis in medical school, I read the story of how back in the 80s, he wanted to prove that H. pylori caused ulcers. So he drank a bunch of H. pylori colonies, gave himself an ulcer, treated himself with antibiotics, and went to win the Nobel Prize. I am not pretending to be as brave and as genius, but I have done my own share of experimenting in myself. Everything I say today is something I've applied in my own life. You are welcome to go to my website and see a 5-minute video that I have on my About page summarizing my story. Suffice to say, I am not a billionaire, I am just a multimillionaire, but I am probably one of the happiest human beings you're going to meet in your life. Not because my life has been easy, cancer is just the least of what has happened to me, but because I decided to be, because I made a priority in my life some time ago to work on my mindset and upgrade it regularly. Okay, so with no further ado, here's the meat of this presentation. Here are the 3 mindsets that differentiate, the most important ones, that differentiate the mind of a billionaire and the mind of a physician. Ready?